What if I told you your entire life, everything you become, could hinge on just a handful of choices you make in a single decade? Well, today, we're driving into that exact idea. We're talking about great bets, those big, defining risks that shape our whole story.
I mean, that quote, it just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? It's this idea that there's this critical window, a specific time in our lives where the choices we make just compound. They build on each other. So the bets we make in our 20s and early 30s, and just as importantly, the ones we don't make, they're not just little decisions. They're literally the foundation for everything that comes next.
So, why is this decade such a big deal? Well, think about it. The choices you make about your career, your money, your relationships, they have this massive ripple effect. A bold career move now could set you up for financial freedom later, but a bad money habit, that could hamstring your life for years. And this is the time when you got the most energy, the most gas in the tank to take those big swings. But at the same time, you're making these huge commitments, getting married, taking on a mortgage, that are really, really hard to undo. It's where the concrete for your life gets poured.
Okay, so making great bets isn't just about our own individual lives. Sometimes these bets happen on a planetary scale. So let's zoom out, way out, from the risks that define one life to a bet that could literally redefine life itself. I'm talking about bringing an entire species back from the dead.
Yeah, you heard that right. And no, this is not a movie plot. There's a real company called Colossal Biosciences, and they are placing a ginormous bet on what's called de-extinction. This is a wager that science, technology, and pure ambition can actually reverse something we've always thought was permanent.
And here's the kicker. This isn't some 100-year plan. Their target to have a woolly mammoth walking the earth again is 2028. That is really soon. All of a sudden, this totally abstract sci-fi idea feels incredibly real. It's like there's a deadline on a miracle.
So how on earth is this even possible? Well, it comes down to a technique with a very sci-fi name, multiplexed genome engineering. The best way to think of it is like a super advanced find and replace tool for DNA. They're not trying to build a mammoth from scratch, that'd be impossible. Instead, they're taking the DNA of its closest living cousin, the Asian elephant, and editing it to have all those classic mammoth traits. And this isn't just a theory. They've already used it to create a woolly mouse, proving that their step-by-step plan for this crazy, audacious goal might actually work.
All right, so we've gone from the personal scale all the way up to the planetary. But here's the thing about a great bet. It doesn't have to be physically huge to be profound. What happens when we bet on exploring worlds that are so tiny they are completely invisible to us?
50,000 times. Just let that number sink in. That's the level of magnification that a project called Nanoscapes is using to pull back the curtain on a world we never see. This isn't a bet on bringing life back. It's a bet on revealing the mind-blowing beauty and complexity in the life that's already all around us. With that kind of power, something as familiar as a butterfly's wing gets transformed into this stunning, almost alien landscape. But it's not just about making cool pictures. This is a bet on pure discovery. It helps us understand incredible secrets, like how nature creates color not with paint or pigment, but by building microscopic structures that literally bend light. It's physics, not chemistry, and it's absolutely beautiful. So we've seen these grand, epic bets and these tiny, hitting ones. But all of this, it brings us right back home, full circle, to the single most important bet any of us will ever make. The bet on how we decide to spend the very limited time we have.
Man, just let that one sit for a second. Bukowski totally nails this weird human paradox, right? We get so wrapped up, so consumed by the little tiny dramas of everyday life, but the colossal tragedy of an entire life just slipping away without meaning, we barely even notice it's happening. I mean, we will absolutely lose our minds over a slow driver that costs us 5 minutes, but we'll barely blink at wasting entire years stuck in some pointless routine. So why? Why do we do that? Well, because it's so much easier to get angry at a broken coffee machine than it is to turn inward and confront that quiet, terrifying feeling of a life without a real purpose. So at this point, you're probably wondering, okay, what's the connection here? Taking risks in my 20s, bringing back mammoths, looking at butterfly wings, and worrying about wasting my life? These things feel totally random, but I promise you they are not. They are all just different angles on the exact same idea. See, each one of these stories, each one of these insights, they're a piece of a bigger puzzle.
They have been intentionally chosen and put together to push you to ask yourself one fundamental question. What are my great bets?
And listen, if you enjoy this process, connecting these seemingly random dots to find a deeper meaning, then you should know that all of these insights came from one place. It's a fantastic weekly newsletter called Weekly NishIsHere by NishIsHere. Every single week, he sends out ideas just like these that are designed to challenge how you see the world. If you want a regular dose of that kind of mind-expanding stuff, I really can't recommend it enough. You can join 2,000 other curious people and subscribe over at NishIsHere.com.
Which, of course, brings us to the real takeaway. After looking at all of these bets, the big, the small, the personal, the profound, the only one that truly, truly matters is the one you haven't made yet. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what is the greatest bet you will make? Thanks for joining me.